Most guys think that getting lean and looking jacked is just about eating better and training harder. I think if they just cut enough of the bad stuff out and get on a healthy eating plan, that'll do the job. That's not really how it plays out. You end up getting frustrated and just losing and gaining the same 5 to 10 pounds every time. More importantly, you're not going to see any changes in the mirror. The real reason why this keeps happening is that this method involves too much guesswork. If you're trying to wing your way through a shred phase, trying to get lean, without paying any attention to the numbers that actually matter, you're never really going to be able to transform that skinny fat body into something a lot more lean and jacked looking. So in this video, I'm going to show you the 3 metrics that guarantee the pounds and kilos absolutely fall off you on demand like clockwork every single week. The 3 shred metrics that you need to be paying attention to ensure that you're losing the right kind of weight to reveal a jacked looking physique in the mirror. So you're going to know exactly why most skinny fat guys never reach that finish line and exactly what you need to start doing about it. So let's get stuck in. Right, so if you're starting a shred phase, which is where you need to be if you do want to get from skinny fat to jacked looking, you need to start shredding first. Guys who can't see that consistent weight loss are usually the ones who feel like they're putting the most amount of effort in, but getting rewarded with sweet fuck all. It's very frustrating, I get it, and that's why you want to start and stop all the time. But the reality of why your diet isn't working is because you're ignoring the only 3 metrics that matter to guarantee that you shred the pounds every single week like clockwork. And it's these 3 things. First up, key metric number 1 is calories. Cut out junk, you can start eating as clean as you want, switching to protein shakes, chicken salads, etc. But if you are not tracking your daily calories, these specific numbers, it's all guesswork. You've got no idea whether you're actually in a deficit. And being in a real calorie deficit is the only way you are going to lose that body fat. Sounds really obvious, but most guys, when on autopilot, they still don't pay attention to these metrics. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the most ridiculous example. 2 blokes, identical age, height, weight, and by some miracle, they both burn exactly 3,000 calories a day. Now, if person A ate 2,000 calories a day of just pizza, this is person B who ate 3,000 calories a day, but it was super clean, low carb, home cooked meals. Despite being on the pizza diet, person A is the only bloke who's going to be experiencing that weekly weight loss. And despite eating so clean, so perfectly, person B is not going to be able to lose any weight. See, there is a difference between optimal eating for health and eating for consistent fat loss. And for fat loss, it's the metrics that rule all. Controlling your calories is what ultimately is going to move the needle. Should you eat a 2,000 calorie pizza diet? No. There's a very high chance that you're going to feel like shit doing it and you will struggle to stick to it. But theoretically, it would work. Depending on you as an individual, your age, your height, your weight, etc., like this deficit might look different for everyone. Some of you bigger guys who are like 90, 100 kilos plus, if you're active, you can be burning 3,000 plus calories a day. If you take your diet down to like 1,800, you're going to be in a massive deficit. You're going to drop a kilo a week, easy peasy. But again, this only works if you are tracking the metrics properly, not just eating clean. Not just tracking like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then leaving it for the rest of the week. Right, key metric number 1, calories. Now, key metric number 2 is steps. Not the amount of cardio you're doing, not these HIIT sessions at the gym, your daily average step count. Forget how intense your workouts feel or whether or not you're doing a bunch of burpees or sprints or whatever. Your average daily step count over a whole week is what is going to be moving the needle as well. So here you can see on my calorie target calculator the difference it makes on your daily calorie burn from a guy who only does a couple of thousand steps a day compared with if the same guy started doing a daily walk, for example, managed to boost that up to 8,000 plus. It's massive. But ultimately, it's something that guys don't pay attention to. They're too busy trying to do that extra 15 minutes of interval running on a treadmill after a gym workout. Thinking these little pockets of time doing like fat burn stuff is going to, by some miracle, shred the belly fat over your entire week. So, average daily step count, that is the key metric which controls your calorie burn the most. Set yourself a target of like 6,000 steps a day. It doesn't mean you have to hit that exact number. Remember, it's average over a week. So you might have like a really high active weekend and a little bit lower on some days. Doesn't matter. What are you averaging over 7 days? That little knowledge about averages, that's how you can stay consistent despite, work, family, life getting in the way. It doesn't need to be so rigid every day. Key metric number 3, have to keep an eye on this, is your official average body weight for the week. One that messes with people's heads a lot, like it's your average weight over the week, not your weight on one random day or doing it every Tuesday night in some bloody Slimming World club. A weekly weigh, and that's like the worst way to check your progress. Salt, stress, sleep, type of food you've eaten, all of that can fluctuate your daily weight. So the key isn't to panic over day-to-day changes or expect every single day to be going so linearly. It's to track and log your weight every single day, but then by the time you get to Sunday, you need to calculate your average weight for the week. And that is what you compare every single week. Every single Sunday, you just compare your averages. Is that trending in the right direction or not? Because if your average weight is going down each week, you're doing the right things, even if the day-to-day numbers look messy. So that is the 3 key metrics that you must pay attention to. So that's going to determine whether or not you're going to be shedding the pounds every single week, if you're going to be losing that weight. Not how healthy or clean you're eating, not how fat burny or hit focused your workouts are, not by some particular ab exercises, no, none of that shit, not by cutting carbs or any of that. No, calories, steps, weekly average weight. Now, it's all good and well having the weight drop off every week, but being a little bit skinny fat, we want to make sure that the weight that we're losing, we are replacing and also building a lean and jacked looking physique in the process. So we need to make sure we are losing the right kind of weight. So this is where your next set of 3 key shred metrics come in, and we must be paying attention to these as well. So correct shred metric number 1 is protein. So this is the first thing that makes a difference, first thing that we pay attention to, so we're dropping the right kind of weight, we're losing body fat. Some blokes I coach in their first week when we start tracking everything, they're only having like 20 or 30 grams of protein a day, which is, it's fucking shocking to be honest with you. So I know, even in like diet mode, how bad some guys can still be eating. And with that low protein, no wonder you're struggling to make progress. You're going to be constantly hungry, you're going to be tired, you're not going to be repairing and recovering with your workouts. Protein, it's not just, although it is, the building blocks of muscle and muscle growth. It also helps keep you fuller for longer, stop the cravings, helps your body hold on to or even build muscle, of course. Ultimately, when the weight's dropping down, helping you to look lean and jacked. It should be the very first thing you think of with every single meal and every single snack. Where is my protein coming from? How much do you need? You want to aim for about 2 grams of protein per kilo of your target body weight. So if your target body weight is like 75 kilos, for example, to make things nice and easy, double that. 150 grams of protein is what you should be aiming for over a day. You just got to start doing the maths. So it's like 30 grams for breakfast, 40 for lunch, 20 as a snack, and then like 60 grams for dinner, something like that. Automatic diet method training, which goes through all of this, helping you break down your existing diet and making you hit your numbers really easily. I'll leave a link on the description below for that. Important thing is you need to stop thinking about like salads and pasta and start thinking fucking meat, fish, low-fat dairy, all that good shit. Okay, moving on. Correct shred metric number 2 is resistance volume. Ultimately, that just means getting enough sets and reps in across your muscles each week from proper weight training. Not cardio, not circuits, not a bunch of burpees, through correct resistance training, which essentially is bodybuilder style training. Now, fun science fact, you only need a minimum of 4 sets per muscle group per week, close to failure, in order to start seeing some gains. So even if you're only hitting like 2 sessions a week, as long as you're working hard with good form, proper intent, and stimulating muscle, it might not be completely optimal, you know, 8 to 10 sets is better, but 4 sets on each muscle group per week, you can easily make work in 2, 3 or 4 workouts a week. So you don't need to train 5, 6, 7 days a week. It's not realistic for most guys to keep up consistently. Just need consistent volume over the weeks and months. So trying to do too much at the beginning, you end up sacking it off, and therefore your consistent volume goes out the window because you do it some weeks and then some weeks you're not going to the gym at all. So ultimately this comes from optimizing your workout program and following something that is built for a bit of flexibility, demanding work and family time, and helps you hit things more consistently week by week. This is something funnily enough, that my coaching and training plans are built to cater for. So a really popular split amongst my clients, which I've explained in other videos, is the front-back split, because that enables you to do, whether you're doing 2, 3 or 4 days that week, you still hit everything really balanced and a decent amount of volume, which hits this key shred metric. All right, correct shred metric number 3 is exercise intensity. So it's not enough to just show up and lift weights and not really work that hard. We need to be challenging yourself. You need to be pushing your reps. You need to be progressively overloading, which I'm sure you've heard of. You're not just going through the motions. Again, combined with decent programming and a decent plan, this is where my beat the boss method comes in, and my 2-set shred method, which are gamified ways to make sure that you're actually progressing. So instead of chasing heavier weights week by week, what you can do is, instead of pushing the weights up, you can go to progress through a specific rep range. So if your best last week was 6 reps, 6 reps, 6 reps, all you need to do is try and do 7 or 8 the following week. So work your way through that rep range, so when you get 6, you build it eventually up to, through 3 or 4 weeks, up to 10 reps. Boom, you've beat the boss, you can then up the weight. Keeps your training a lot more motivating, and it's a lot easier than trying to up the weight every single week. So now this metric, like I said, my 2-set shred program is a great way to learn how to train properly in short, sweet workouts that ultimately cut your gym time in half, while also probably doubling your lean muscle gains during this phase. So I'll also leave a link for that free program in the descriptions below as well for you to get your hands on. Right, so that's it. 6 key metrics you need to pay attention to for you to shred properly without ending up scrawny, soft, stuck halfway between cutting and bulking, or just looking a bit softer and skinnier. Just be dropping weight on demand. It's all about your calories, steps, average body weight. For that to be the right kind of weight to reveal a lean and jacked looking physique, protein, resistance volume, and training intensity. Track them, prioritize them. These 6 things, that's all you need to pay attention to. Especially at the beginning of your journey, especially during the shred phase, your first 8-week sprints, for example. Just focus on this shit. We can start to optimize more things over time. But let's get you building momentum, seeing fast changes, so it's going to motivate you to stay on this journey. This is the difference between losing a bit of weight and then putting it back on, losing momentum, and making a long-term transformation to your physique. I hope you found this useful. Now, if you want to see my entire skinny fat to jacked coaching system, what that actually looks like step by step, I've laid out my entire 4-phase coaching system in this video right here, where I show you exactly how I take my clients from skinny fat to lean and jacked in months instead of years. So if I were you, I'd check out that video next, and I'll talk to you soon.